Ayacucho is a mountain town and the site of one of the decisive battles of the Revolution. It marks about the halfway post on our journey from the coast to Cusco, the old Inca capital. Ayacucho is agreeably installed at an altitude off again toward Cusco. It is well to remember that here we are not on the main Pan-American highway, but off on a side trip to the Inca capital. Indian herders with slings, keeping their cattle and horses together by a method peculiar to this part of the world. And then Cusco. The great plaza reveals Spanish colonial architecture in its perfection. But here in Cusco, the mind goes back to a past far more remote than the Spanish conquest, for here was the capital of the empire of the Incas. Many fine, massive walls built by the ancient inhabitants centuries before the Spaniards came still stand in Cusco. By any standard, ancient or modern, they are magnificent examples of the stonemason's skill. Outside Cusco is Sacsayhuaman, mighty and indestructible fortress built no one knows how long ago. Some of the huge irregular stones, shaped without the aid of metal tools and precisely fitted together without mortar, weigh as much as 20 tons. At Machupicchu, about 50 miles from Cusco, is another stupendous ruin, disclosed to modern eyes only in 1912. Here, on the summit of a lofty ridge, lying between still loftier peaks, the Incas had a fine city and an impregnable stronghold. The thatched roof you see here is modern, but just like those the Incas used. The Inca thatching and wooden roof beams, of course, disappeared ages ago, but the ancient masonry stands century after century. The gabled house was well known to the Incas, and throughout Machu Picchu is that unbelievable perfection of the ancient masonry. An interesting variation is this round building, and note the tremendous depth of the valley which nearly surrounds this fabulous mountain city. Down a street of the old city and into a house. That's just how it was many a time long ago, centuries ago, long, long before Europe knew there was such a place as America. The highest point of Machu Picchu and the site of the sundial, sacred to the greatest Inca god, the sun. The temple of the three windows, rich in Inca legend. Finally, behold the terraces on which the dwellers of Machu Picchu raised their crops. The Incas were the only early Americans who understood the use of fertilizer. Believe it or not, you are looking at an Inca farm. The route is again briefly through Peru, the southern tip of it. In Arequipa, you will find at an elevation of 7,600 feet a number of pleasant things: a fine climate, genuine Spanish colonial atmosphere, cleanliness, quiet, and order. This is Peru's second city, but many rank it in charm and interest unquestionably first. And so much for Peru.